Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. All right, guys, this is going to be another fun painting today. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on my traceable, I did go over it with a black Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. If you're utilizing the traceable, you do not have to do that step. Now we are going to start in the background, start with the sky. We're going to do a light blue, and that is white with a little bit of blue. And I'm using that large flat brush, and we're going to start at that horizon line and go towards the top of the canvas. And we'll be getting a little bit darker as we go towards the top of the canvas. Now, I am using student grade paint, and I generally recommend with student grade paint that you apply it a little bit thicker than you may be comfortable with, so that way you get a bit more opaque coverage. And that also helps with the blending too, with a little thicker application. You can also apply two coats, two layers to it to get more of an opaque coverage. And in some of my other videos, I do that two layers on those videos. This one, we're just going to be doing one. Now, if you need to mix your color a second or third time, don't stress about it being the same shade. You can already see a little variation in mine. And now with the medium blue, I'm adding more blue to go a little bit darker for the top of the canvas. And because we are applying this while the paint is wet, both colors, you can see where I'm going over both the light and medium blue with light pressure and blending the two. And this is a really relaxing aspect of the process of painting. If you happen to be on a stretched canvas, I do recommend that you carry your color around the edges of the canvas. And here's a good place to pause the video and take your progress photo. We're going to move into a dark raw sienna, and that is raw sienna with a little bit of black for that mountain that's going to be on that horizon line. Now, if yours is a little lighter or darker than mine, again, totally okay. And here you can see where it is a bit more transparent as I'm applying it. And when we do some shading, we're going to go a little darker at the bottom and then a little lighter at the top. You'll see where I get to apply it a little bit thicker. And with this painting and any painting that I teach on my channel, you are more than welcome to switch out colors, make it your own, add things that I don't add. I do encourage that you trust your instincts while you are painting. And here you can see I grabbed a little bit of black, making that dark raw sienna a little bit darker. And by the horizon line, we're adding just a bit more darkness, a bit more of shadow. We will come in with some yellow paint and do that on the top of this mountain. And again, this is kind of one of the further elements from the perspective, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of getting a hint and filling up the space. So here we go in with some of that yellow going right on the top of the mountain. And again, because the paint is wet, that yellow is diffusing rather quickly into that raw sienna. And each time that you paint, you're getting good experience. Um, your muscles are remembering, your eyes are understanding what you're looking at. And each time that you paint, you get a little bit more comfortable with the process. So now going back to that medium blue, which is a little bit darker than the last color we used on the sky. And again, I want you to observe where I place each of these colors, the general shape that I make, and I want you to mimic that to the best of your ability at home. And here, just kind of adding that same color a little bit on the bottom, and then we're going to be moving into some lighter blues as we fill in that middle space where the waves would be crashing in this scene. And sometimes it does help. I'm moving down to the small pointy brush, so feel free to switch back and forth between brushes based on the size of your canvas, your comfort level, and even the space that you may be painting. So using that kind of medium blue, add in a few areas. Now we're going to add some more white and go for a light blue and adding again that in a few areas. And as we come up next to the other shades, I am mixing a little bit, just like we did in the background, kind of softening that transition from one color to the next. And then we're going to add a little bit more pure white and do the same thing for the last few little areas. There we go. And again, just doing a little bit of blending, filling in all the canvas space in our water area, and then we'll move over to the little grassy mound on that right-hand side, or the bushes or trees. All right, another place to pause the video, take your progress photo. You're doing a great job. And if you're one of my first time painters and you're holding your breath, take a big inhale for me, relax, you're doing great. So here for our little grassy area, it is a mixture of green and yellow. Completely your call how much of each pigment that you add. On mine, I'm not adding as much yellow, but if you want to go a little lighter, add more yellow to your mixture. And we're literally just kind of slapping this on in a few places. Then we'll go with some of that direct green or darker green and a little bit of green and black and go a little bit darker. Having some various shades of green in here really just kind of helps with the depth and gives this illusion of a 3D image, a 3D space on this flat 2D surface. So I really enjoy telling all my students that you are magicians when you paint. You're creating this magical illusion on a flat 2D surface. All right, doing good, coming along nicely. Now we're going to grab some of that direct yellow, just a few highlights, real similar to what we did on that mountain in the background. And again, you'll notice that it kind of diffuses with the green. Those lighter colors do get eaten up pretty quickly when you do your blending. All right, and then grabbing some of that direct green, just adding more on there. Trust your instincts. If you are inclined to add more of something than I do, go right ahead and do that. All right, and then another place to pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to move into a really light raw sienna with a little bit of yellow. So pulling that white aside, add a little raw sienna, and then add a little bit of yellow that warms it up to make it a bit kind of warmer sand color. And we're going to be filling in the remaining space of the canvas. And then we're going to be adding some darker shades on top of it. So if you have to mix this light raw sienna with yellow a few times, and maybe it's a little darker, lighter each time, that's okay. We are going to be adding more on top of this in a moment. Now do be a little more controlled as you are coming up to the water, that blue area, especially if your blue paint is still wet. You don't really want that blue paint mixing with your raw sienna sand mixture. If you do happen to mix a little bit of it, just take a paper towel, wipe it off, and then reapply the appropriate color. All right, so here we're grabbing some of that direct raw sienna and applying it in a few areas on the sand to give a little bit of shading. And then we'll be going with a bit darker raw sienna to do some shading where the trees are going to be and where the palm tree shadows would be. So again, you're just kind of observing where I place it and mimicking that to the best of your ability on your canvas. And by strengthening your power of observation, this is actually a nice life skill from art that you can take over into your daily life. The more observant you are in general, um, the better person you are, the better friend you are, the better worker. Observation is a key aspect in life. So the more observant you are in painting, the more you'll see that show up in your everyday life. So here with that kind of darker raw sienna, we're getting a little bit of a hint of where the shadows from the palm trees that we'll be adding later would be. This does not have to be exact. It's just, again, giving a hint that we have some shadows. And once we get the palm trees on there, our brain kind of fills in the rest of the details and goes, oh, that's the shadow to the palm tree. So sometimes it's kind of awkward when you're building it when you don't know what the final is going to look like. So you guys are doing a great job of just trusting the process. All right, another place to pause the video and take your progress photo. We are going to go back with white paint and get those white caps of the waves on. And I'm holding that brush perpendicular to the canvas and just kind of tapping the brush on there. And again, you're imagining this is where the water is rolling over to make those waves, and then also where the water is overlapping the sand and kind of rolling into shore. Sometimes those have some little foamy white caps on them, and we're just adding that. I do recommend as you're doing this and as we get into the final stages to look at your painting from that distance of 5 to 10 feet away. This is the normal viewing distance for most things in life and especially artwork. All right, moving back to that small pointy brush, we're going to our dark raw sienna with black. We're going to get the tree trunks for our palm trees in here. And again, they're not perfectly straight. A lot of times palm trees dance in the wind And if yours ends up being a little thicker or skinnier or a different shape than mine, that's okay. Palm trees come in so many varieties. If you're finding, excuse me, if you're finding that your brush is kind of shaky as you're doing this, that does mean you're holding your breath. So if you exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, that will help your process. So now grabbing a little bit of that black and adding it to the left-hand side of the palm tree for a bit of a shadow element. Again, just giving that hint, that illusion of depth. And now we're going to move into the palm fronds, and we're going to kind of put the base structure in first, the main branch of the palm fronds. Then we're going to be adding leaves to this. Again, yours does not have to look identical to mine. Just use this as a base guideline and strengthen your power of observation. You're doing great. And when we move into doing the leaves, we're going to be making little dash marks and imagining that each dash mark is a leaf on the palm frond. And you do want your tree to be rather healthy, so an abundance of leaves on each palm frond just shows that your tree is really healthy and had adequate water for its life to grow healthy leaves. Again, each of these leaves is a little dash mark. Overlap those dash marks. Rest your forearm against the edge of the table. You can even put your pinky out and rest that on a dry spot on your canvas. If you need to turn your canvas sideways because it's a little bit easier, do whatever you need to do to adjust your process to make some of these lines. And notice that every couple of brush strokes, I am going back and grabbing more paint and again overlapping those brush strokes. If you are noticing that each of your brush strokes just keeps getting wider and wider, and you don't want that, take a look at your brush. If you've got a lot of buildup of paint on your brush, wipe off that excess paint, grab some fresh paint, and then go back to applying your leaves. A little bit of brush maintenance while you are painting. And again, smile at yourself. I'm really proud of you for painting. Hopefully, while you've been painting, you've been so focused on the canvas that you've kind of forgotten about, maybe your daily life, your work, some of the stresses you might have, and just zoned out into this painting process. And that truly is the beauty of painting and why I encourage people to paint as often as they can. This world is not getting any less stressful, so the more that you can do to find your stress relieving outlets, the better the world's going to be. If you want, you can add some variety. I'm mixing some of that raw sienna and green together, going for a bit more of a shadow element. Same thing, little dash marks for the leaves, overlapping those dash marks. And then we'll do the same thing with some highlights with some yellow paint. Again, trust your instincts and do whatever you are inclined to do for your painting. All right, grabbing that yellow and again being kind of sparing with the highlights here. Um, Kind of more you think about highlights, this is the first thing that the light source or the sun is touching on any element that you are painting. All right, you guys, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to get creative with me. I'm really honored that you are getting creative and enjoying the videos. And until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.